Dit programma is tot stand gekomen met een bijdrage uit het Mediafonds Amstelveen.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Amstelveen for Everybody. It's the last themed episode that we have of the season. I've enjoyed recording. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching it. For our last episode, we have two very special guests. You've seen them before because they were here in the first episode as well. I have right now on table with me the mayor of Amstelveen, Mr. Tjapko Poppens. And later on, we will have our own Amstelveen for Everybody vlogger, Curtis. You've seen him throughout all the episodes, so it's exciting to have him back on the table with us. Mayor, welcome once again on table with Amstelveen for Everybody.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
Very good. And I love to be here. It's an important subject and you made quite a good program the last couple of episodes. Some of them I viewed.
Fantastic.
And my compliment.
Thank you very much. And so we've invited you here today because, like I said, it's our last recorded episode. You were here in the first one. We thought, let's close the loop with a special attention on the international policy that plays out in the municipality of Amstelveen. Just for our listeners, what is the international policy?
Yeah, good question. A couple of weeks ago, the City Council approved the new international policy. And it's not new in the sense of we did have already an international policy. We started in 1957 already with a twinning city agreement with Berlin, Tempelhof. And in the 60s we had already the first Japanese companies who were coming to the Netherlands, to Amsterdam area, and also the first inhabitants. So we do have already a long time international policy. But we thought it's good to renew the policy because there's more internationalization at this moment. And it's important also to have answers on that.
Correct. So, Amstelveen is known for its diversity. I believe 23% of the Amstelveeners have an international background, which is about 142 different nationalities. I guess that's one of the reasons that Amstelveen attracts as well the internationals. We have a policy in place, like you explained. But why do you find it important that we have such a policy and not just let it happen naturally?
Yeah, it is important because we have almost 100,000 inhabitants. And now 23% of the inhabitants have a different passport, another passport. And those 142 cultures, people with different cultures and most of them also different languages are not automatically going to each other and speaking with each other and meeting each other. I think it's important in a modern city, which we are, that you meet each other and also do some activities together. And that's most important, to feel yourself also welcome here. And that's also one of the basics of the new international policy, that we have a better balance between economic growth and prosperity, and at the same time also the social well-being. But another important part is that we have, it's important that all residents in Amstelveen, so the Dutch residents and the international residents, feel at home in Amstelveen. And those two parts are the basics of the international policy.
In September 2022, we had the mayor on table who was discussing the international policy. And since then, there have been a lot of developments as we hear. But let's see what the mayor had to say back then, and then we can come back to him on table here.
Yeah, we had a discussion with our city council for the ingredients for a modernized international policy. Internationalization is part of this region, Amsterdam region, Amstelveen as well. And it has a couple of consequences for our services as a municipality. That's what we talked about. But it also has some consequences for the culture in the neighborhoods.
Right.
Some people don't feel at home anymore, although they live there already for 50 years. They don't know the neighbors, the topic we addressed a couple of minutes ago. How you can help them, how you can have attention for that, and how we can also give some advices to all kind of organizations to help those 79% Amstelveeners with a Dutch nationality. And the other side, the third part, what's the benefit of all the internationalization? We do have it as well, and also what we can do to feel them at home in Amstelveen.
Right.
Those three topics were part of the conversations with the City Council.
Mayor, I think it's great to look back almost 1 year ago. You've not changed at all, so that's a big compliment as well to
I'm
you.
1 year old, a little bit grayer, but for the rest, and I have new glasses, but for the rest, it looks similar.
So when you hear back what you said then and you look at it today, you mentioned about feeling at home, giving advice to organizations to help the number of internationals feel at home as well, and the benefits of the whole internationalization and the program behind it. If we start with the last one, what do you feel are the benefits of being internationalized?
I think there are several benefits. Most important benefit already for decades is the economic part, because we do have about 4,000 international companies in this area. We have about 250,000 employees working for international companies, and that's a whole Amsterdam metropolitan area. That's important because those jobs bring income, and the income is used here to spend in shops, in restaurants, and all kind of other activities. So that's important for the prosperity of an area. At the same time, you see also the social and cultural benefits. We have, because of all the different cultures and backgrounds, we have also a very colorful number of shops, restaurants, all kind of events, and I think that's one of the benefits as well. So it's a colorful society. Of course, there's also another part, and that in some neighborhoods there are so many changes every month, every year of internationals who stay there for a short time, that people don't feel at home anymore. So we also have to focus on that part. That's exactly the ingredients we have now in the new international policy. How to deal with those benefits, one side.
Yep.
The other side, it's important that people feel at home in Amstelveen.
Yeah.
All of them.
Of course, change is never easy for people. There are benefits, like you mentioned, but there are also downsides of it. Yeah. And we need to get everyone on the same train and on the same track and maybe on the same speed that we're all working towards. What kind of advice do you give on internationalization to entrepreneurs, or how does the policy help entrepreneurs on this?
I think it's important. It's nowadays even more difficult to get employees, also for the international companies, but also for the other companies in this area. So one of the things is how you can attract, how can you be attractive for your employees? Also, let them feel happy in their living environment. So a lot of international people live in Amstelveen. So what enterprises can do, what companies can do, is also as part of the corporate social responsibility to help employees, international employees, but also other employees, to do some activities locally. Right. For instance, sport events. Joining last weekend, there was an international hockey event in one of the hockey clubs we have, and there were a lot of teams from companies. Right. And they brought international teams with a mix of Dutch and other employees. So that are a couple of examples where you can have, on a practical way, mix all the people with different backgrounds, and it gives also opportunity to know new people.
Correct. So, I mean, in the first episode, you spoke about internationals and encouraging them to integrate, joining sports clubs, for example, getting to know their neighbors. But my question is, how do we measure that there's a two-way integration happening, that the locals also open their arms to their different neighbors?
That's an interesting point, because nowadays we see it's not only the internationalization, not only in this Amsterdam area, but we also see it in the rest of the Netherlands and the rest of Europe and the rest of the world. So in general, it's not only a matter of international residents and Dutch residents, it's more a matter of people who come new somewhere, is that they try to meet the neighbors as soon as possible, say hello and introduce themselves or maybe invite themselves. And if people don't do, the people who live there already try to welcome the newcomers. And I think that combination might help already to at least know the name or the person behind the face you see every day.
So generally when a newcomer, an international comes into the Netherlands, they get a pamphlet about the cultures, the norms, the values of the Dutch culture. So, they can be, let's say they have a soft landing, they know what to expect. However, is a municipality playing a role to give that kind of, let's say, cultural outreach to the local Amstelveeners who've lived here for a long time, to make them more aware of maybe they can adapt their way of working just so that people feel a little bit more at ease?
I think it's a combination. This kind of programs like you have can also contribute to getting to have more information about the different cultures and the backgrounds. That's one. Second is that we do not only have an intake for newcomers in the expat center, former expat center, we call it in Amsterdam, but also we have a lot of volunteers who advise the newcomers what to do in the Netherlands. We have also some movies living in the Netherlands. It's a kind of video series with all kind of practical subjects about the typical laughing or the irritating issues of the Dutch people. And I know a lot of Dutch people who also watching these series. So there is a kind of integration by watching these kind of video series. Living in the Netherlands, is it called? On the other part, yes, it's also important that the Dutch resident who stay already for a longer time, that was your question, get interested in the newcomers. And I think that can be done by sport or by cultural organizations or by other activities, because in general, or via language of course, generally you see a lot of integration between different groups with different backgrounds, not only nationality, but also the kind of other difference you have by doing things together. Right. I think that's the best way to meet each other and to have a good feeling and feeling yourself comfortable.
Right. So I think it's clear, Mayor, what you're saying is that the policy, the municipality, what they're doing with this is just helping people find a balance between internationals, locals, and everybody feels at home. What we've done is we've gone on the streets of Amstelveen to see, do people feel at home? Let's see what our reporters have to say.
Voelt u zich trouwens thuis in Amstelveen?
Zeker. Jawel.
Helemaal.
Ja. Jazeker.
Ja hoor, ik voel me hier zeker thuis.
Heel goed. Hoe komt dat?
Ja.
Omdat het vlak bij Amsterdam is.
Het is heel schoon. Ja, het is vrij ruimte.
Omdat ik me erg vrij voel hier. Je wordt nergens op aangesproken, zover ik heb beleefd.
Nou, omdat het hier gezellig wonen is, leuke mensen omheen, mooie winkels, mooie natuur, rondom groen.
Vindt u dat de expats en de Amstelveeners goed met elkaar verbonden zijn?
Ik denk de meeste wel. Ja, zeker de mensen die werken. Ja, Japanners heb je en je hebt uit Pakistan en India. Nou, dat zijn de goede expats. Want je hebt natuurlijk ook andere. Maar daar hebben we dus ook geen last van.
Nou, te zorgen dat de nieuwe immigranten zich ook thuis voelen hier. Want het zijn niet altijd de vaste bewoners die het niet willen hebben. Maar er zijn ook de nieuwelingen die zich niet willen aanpassen. En daar zit vaak het probleem, denk ik.
Ik heb goede communicatie met die mensen, maar die Hollandse mensen hebben een beetje moeite. Logisch als iemand pas binnen is in Nederland.
Wat zou de gemeente meer kunnen doen om die internationale verbinding nog beter te maken?
Het is nu bijna de zomervakantie. En de gemeente kan een paar sociale activiteiten tussen de internationals en tussen de burgers maken.
De gemeente doet best wel wat. Echt wel best wel veel, maar ja, je kan ze moeilijk bij bijeenkomsten houden.
Meer in gesprek gaan met die mensen en ook de taal proberen te spreken van die mensen.
Lekker hapje, dansen, sociale contact, dat helpt.
De mensen uit allerlei landen en kleur en dingen wonen. En het gaat uitstekend volgens mij. Dus ik heb geen enkele reden om te denken dat het niet goed gaat.
Now, Mayor, I think pretty good response, maybe in line with the survey results as well. It's not all that bad, but definitely there's room for improvement, but it's really not that bad.
No, there was a good situation. I think this is one location It would be interesting to have a different location in Amsterdam to check. But in general, this supports what we are doing. And at the same time, I see some improvements myself. So we will continue with those improvements together with the different groups and the different backgrounds. Also by organizing all kinds of activities, of course.
Right. So, Mayor, I think you have been the mayor of Amstelveen for the last 5 years?
4 years.
4 years. So, do you feel at home in Amstelveen?
I really do feel at home, and also as a resident, because it's not only my job, of course, being mayor here in Amstelveen, but also we live here with a family of 5 persons. And yes, what do we like? Is a green area, although my children have other priorities, to be honest. But the green area we like, but also a lot of being next to Amsterdam, a lot of facilities. But also when we look in Amstelveen, a lot of different shops, different restaurants, a lot of different culture and sport facilities. That's what I appreciate in my family as well. And of course in my work, that's one of the reasons I applied for this mayorship, is there are so many challenges. Yes, we like it here and I like it as well.
Oh, that's really good to hear. Yeah. Especially, as a resident of Amstelveen, it's a prime example that you feel at home and others do as well. I think the policy it provides is a tool of a good way of living, finding that balance, as you mentioned, for entrepreneurs, for social organizations, and for inhabitants, for all Amstelveeners. From this policy, the international policy that we were discussing earlier, as an inhabitant, will I notice any difference? Will it impact me on a daily basis, do you think?
That's depending. I think it's a call to every resident, all 95,000 at this moment. It's when you see new neighbors, go to them and say hello to them, introduce yourself. That's maybe a very easy step you can start with. Another thing, when you work in a larger group in a company, is together with a company, try to do some volunteering activities. Yeah. Try to contribute to social activities. We have also a volunteer platform here. And via that volunteering platform, you can also match people who want to do volunteering work, for instance, for a football club or for a hockey club or other activities. And that's a very good way to know other people with different backgrounds and different cultures. I think that's important, and that makes you feeling at home even more than you do nowadays.
Absolutely.
Also when you have a company.
Yep. And from your perspective, how does the municipality and the media support the international initiatives? How do they get internationals to come to non-international events and vice versa? Because they both play a really important role.
Yeah, we have a kind of, we try to facilitate all kind of initiatives by connecting people who have questions about how can I have more internationals in my football club, for instance. There are some clubs who have difficulties with it. But on the other hand, I see some groups of internationals who ask me, what can you help me to connect with the Dutch people? Like we heard also from one of the men who was interviewed. And both questions we can combine, we can match with Amstelveen Connected. And that's a program where we try to work with different representatives from different groups or organizations or clubs to deal and to exchange very good examples, for instance, and to share knowledge.
And I think also Visit Amstelveen is a perfect platform as well to promote events, and it's both in English and in Dutch. So I applaud.
But not only that, I think Visit Amstelveen is really quite an example. It's a kind of tourist information, but more than that. And if you have any events or activities, yes, you can inform them, and they will show it. But at the same time, we also have other possibilities. Our website as a municipality is most of the subjects are also in English. Yep. That's important. Not 100% yet, but we are working on that. So there are different ways how to get your knowledge in a non-Dutch language. On the other hand, if you stay here for a longer time, let's say 3 years or more, please invest also in a Dutch language and a Dutch culture. It's very interesting. And we do have some internationals who have a button. And the button says, spreek Nederlands met mij. Speak Dutch with me. Because that helps them to learn Dutch. Because they want to learn Dutch and the Dutch culture. But a lot of Amstelveeners are so service-minded. They start right away talking English.
And where can you get this button?
I think the municipality can organize finding those
Fantastic.
buttons.
Okay, great. Then in our next episode, we'll make sure that we put this online for those people who are interested in getting such a button and practicing their Dutch. Don't be shy. The municipality is happy to help you. We'll share those details with you guys later. So I think we talk about international events. We had the Japan Festival quite recently, and we have the Diwali Festival coming up. So we have some snippets from that. So let's take a look.
Amstelveen maakte zich vandaag op voor de 8e editie van het Japan Festival.
Het festival is open.
Ja, we zijn hier gezellige mensen, maar dan gaan we gewoon! Vanavond ga ik even uit mijn bal.
Bijna nergens wonen zoveel mensen met een niet-Nederlandse achtergrond als in Amstelveen.
Okay, that's a great summary about some of the international or some of the events that we have in Amstelveen. Super lively. We saw the Japan Festival, we saw King's Day, and I believe you have some more that you also went to, Mayor.
Yeah, we have some other events like dragon boat races we had recently, where a lot of boats were in the water and competing with each other.
Very nice.
And we do have some other international events and celebrations. That's important. And of course, I also can mention that on October 28th, the next Diwali festival will happen on the Stadsplein here in Amstelveen. So people, please go there. It's a beautiful event with a lot of people and very good food and a lot of dance, music and colorful people.
Super. Oh, well, we look forward to that as well. And now we have Curtis on table as well, who's our vlogger. Both of you have met before, of course. Brilliant. Curtis, great to have you back. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Yeah. And how is your Dutch going?
Mijn Nederlands is beter.
Very good. Very good. I mean, it's a big improvement from last time already. Did you get to practice more?
A bit. I've met some local Dutchies through a bicycle club that I've joined. And I tell them, like, hey, when you can, speak Dutch to me, give me directions in Dutch so I can practice. Thankfully, we're on country roads where there's a lot of traffic, so there's not things to run into. But I really do enjoy that. And we have our regulars that we go to on the Friday market, and we speak Dutch with them. And we've let them know, spreek Nederlands met mij. So we try. We're trying. Try to learn the language and meet more people and get out. We go to the festivals like King's Day, and we were there at the Japan Day, and we were there for King's Night as well. Really enjoyed it, and it's great fun.
I used to run on Sunday morning, and sometimes I have a biking group in my neck, and they call all kind of Dutch words, which I won't repeat here. Do you know already those words, Curtis?
I've heard them a few times. I try not to say them.
Okay. What's the name of your biking group?
It's called the Fat Tire Peloton.
The Flat Tire Peloton?
Fat, like
Oh, the
PH.
fat tire.
Yeah, it's a play on words.
All right, yeah.
It's a bunch of expats and then locals, and we try to have group rides together. Okay. It was really helpful for me in June. My company had a contest for healthiness, and I decided to ride 50 kilometers every day for 26 days.
So.
And thanks to some of them, encouraging me and helping me, I actually achieved that. I went out every day for 26 days in June and rode my bike 50 kilometers a day.
So. That's quite very good to hear. Yeah.
Thank you. I really love it. It's a great way to see the Dutch countryside.
Yeah.
You know, meet other Dutch people through other riding events, and we meet up at cafes. And it's a great cultural thing, the bicycle riding.
And the cafe is also important
Yes.
afterwards.
Have a nice coffee.
It's part of getting to know each other. Yeah.
So, Curtis, this was one of many things on your wish list. I'm very curious if you remember your wish list that you said in the first episode.
Oh, I don't remember the whole wish list, no. I knew I wanted to improve my Dutch. I knew I wanted to meet some more Dutch people and learn more about the Dutch culture. And so I think I've achieved at least some or partial of that.
Well, we've got a great memory, but even better, we recorded it. So let's see what you had to say.
Most of my contact is actually with other expats, and I'm really hoping I can find a way to make contact with more Dutch nationals. I really want to understand the Dutch culture. I'm trying to learn the Dutch language as best I can, and understand sort of the traditions and what makes the Netherlands this sort of very unique country that I've come to experience and really enjoy.
And what blocks you from making contact with local Amstelveeners?
Well, the hardest part has been the last 2 years being under Corona, not having the ability to meet them. The other one is that I honestly don't know where to go most of the time to meet other Dutchies.
Right.
I know when the big holidays are, like King's Day, but other than that, I don't. I've recently taken up cycling actually, and I'm kind of looking for a group to cycle around with, to see the countryside, to learn more about what's around me, and to try to speak some more Dutch.
Well, Curtis, I think you're pretty on target with your wish list.
You succeeded. Yeah.
How integrated do you feel?
I feel I'm getting there.
Okay.
Thankfully, with Corona over, we're meeting more of our neighbors. My wife actually entered Dutch University this year to study linguistics, and she's taking an intensive Dutch course. We actually get reports from my daughter's teachers that their Dutch had improved greatly, and they're out, meeting other Dutch young people and having a good time. Yeah. My oldest daughter just did a community service project where she helped do a food drive for a local Dutch charity. Yeah. And so I think we're trying to be integrated and get that out as much as we can.
And what would you advise, Curtis, to newcomers here in Amstelveen? How to start with that part?
I think the first thing is just get out of your house a little bit. Mm-hmm. We all have that tendency that we want to go home at night and we're tired and whatnot. Yeah. I really love that I get this local newspaper. It's in Dutch. It was difficult to read at first, but it's getting better. And I read through it to look for the social activities. Yeah. Like what's going on in town. Oh, what festival is coming and when is it going to happen? And we make sure we go to those. The Friday market is a great place to meet people. We absolutely love that. Fresh food and vegetables and all the vendors there with their great wares, and many of them are more than happy to speak Dutch with us and be friendly with that, and speak slowly, thankfully, because I'm still not very quick with it. And I think the other part is just to take the chance. Yeah. Go and find something you like to do and meet the other Dutch people out there that like to do that too.
And what would you ask the Dutch residents if you would start here again? What would you like them to help you with that early start?
I think if I had it in a perfect way, obviously without Corona, I would really have sort of liked a pair family maybe, where they, someone who could sort of show us the ropes. Like, here's what it's like as I grew up here and this is what it's like. Or maybe there's an older couple that their children have moved away and they would like some time with our children. Like, hey, they could sort of be your Dutch grandparents and just to teach us about the culture and the language. And I think that's a lot of fun. And for me, just having that resource to say, here's some groups and some clubs that are looking for internationals, and they're more than happy to, share their experience of what it's like to be a Dutch person.
Interesting. Good to hear that suggestion. I heard it many times, so I think we can do something with it, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think these are really great and constructive as well ideas. And, it helps. I heard you talk about the elderly, the seniors, and getting them more engaged into it as well. I mean, why not? Small steps, but has a big impact.
Yeah, and it helps also to get use of your neighborhood. It would help as well as there are some people who are already living in that neighborhood. So they give you some advice where to start with finding your shops, but also finding the culture and what kind of activities, events, sport clubs, etc., etc. Good advice.
Yeah, my wife and I now have our favorite bars and places to hang out. And, we've met many Dutch people that way. We have restaurants that we really love to go to. And I think it makes us feel more at home. We feel more comfortable going out and being part of everything.
Super, great to hear. I want to take the time to thank you both once again to come and visit us in the studio for our last episode of the season for Amstelveen for Everybody. Mayor, it's been a pleasure having you. I hope that we can welcome you more often as well and see how we can continue the internationalization, but finding that balance as well.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to be here also with this beautiful program, because I think it's really helpful to understand the difference in cultures and how to deal with that. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And Curtis, I mean, you came on our show as a guest. You're leaving as a mini celebrity in Amstelveen as our vlogger. We're very grateful for you taking up that task. How has the experience been for you?
I really loved it. I got to meet all kinds of people. But so far, no one's recognized me on the street, so that's just fine.
We'll try and change that.
And I think we have a volunteer now to help other newcomers to find their way in Amstelveen.
We love that.
And I can do myself as well, of course.
Super.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you both. And thank you, everyone, for listening and watching us on Amstelveen, Amstelveen for Everybody. It's been a great season. We've had so many guests on table. We've talked about so many topics. We've got to meet locals here in Amstelveen. We've got to meet internationals. And, you know, it's just been a great journey. The next episode, of course, will be a compilation of all the episodes that we've aired to see how far we've come. And hopefully we will see you guys after the summer. In the meantime, have a great summer, everybody. And happy holidays. Take care.
Happy holidays.
Dit programma is tot stand gekomen met een bijdrage uit het Mediafonds Amstelveen.